When it comes to flight attendants, most people assume that we are a waiter in the sky. But we are capable of much more than bringing you a beverage and a snack. We could even save your life. Hi, my name is Sara, and today I'm gonna tell you my story. That's exactly what happened during a flight from Seattle to San Francisco. I had no idea that this short flight would turn out to be unlike any flight I had ever in my 10 years of experience. At first, everything was routine, but as the plane took off, I noticed a strange pair. Among the passengers, a young girl and a much older man who accompanied her. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but I felt like something was off and I couldn't seem to shake that feeling. The girl looked nervous and sobbed. Was she afraid of heights and scared of flying? I didn't think so, and I continued watching her closely. I caught her attention that the girl avoided eye contact with anyone, including her fellow traveler. They both didn't speak to each other, and the strangest thing about them was their appearance. The girl looked disheveled and was dressed in shabby clothes, while the man was well dressed and seemed wealthy. They weren't acting like relatives or friends. So, what brought these two together? This question kept nagging at my brain. I tried to engage them in conversation, but the man got defensive. Please, leave us alone. The girl didn't dare to look up at me. While attempting unsuccessfully to talk to them, I noticed the girl was just a teenager and had some bruises. Those observations were enough for me to spring to action. I knew I had to make sure the girl wasn't in some kind of trouble. But how could I do it? There was obviously no way the man would let me speak to the girl. The only solution that came to my mind was to leave a note for the girl on the airplane's toilet. I went to my seat and I wrote a quick note, asking if the girl was okay, and I left it in the restroom. At some point, I managed to catch the girl's attention and mumbled the word bathroom. The girls got the hint and quickly nodded. She asked the man sitting next to her, "Can I use the bathroom?" He said, "Yes, but quickly." The girl left, and within a few minutes, she returned to her seat. I rushed to the bathroom to read the girl's response to my note. Her answer left me speechless. It said, "I need help." My suspicions were finally confirmed, and the disturbing situation became clear. The girl seemed to be a victim of human trafficking. Without any hesitation, I informed fellow staff members. They contacted the pilot and showed him the note. Then he notified the police in San Francisco and asked that they meet them at the gate. The flight crew knew they couldn't let the dangerous man find out he'd been caught, so they pretended as if nothing happened and patiently waited for the plane to land. When they finally reached San Francisco, the police boarded the plane right away and arrested the man. You know what? It was the quick thinking and attention to little details that saved the girl's life that day. This is my story, just to prove that my job is more difficult than you might think. Please don't forget to subscribe. My name is Christy, and I stopped eating for 2 weeks to get thinner. Whilst online, I came across a dieting blog by a girl called Sophie, who had been on a diet where you eat under 400 calories a day. She had posted some pictures and she looked amazing. I decided then that becoming thinner would fix my problems. Everyone would compliment me on my new body, and it'd get my confidence back. I wasn't the sort of person who did things by halves. It was all or nothing. I'd read online that if you feel hungry, drinking a glass of water will make them go away. Even better, a can of Diet Coke and chewing gum would fill you up even more. I could do this. It was much easier than I expected. I probably overslept, so I had to run to school without having breakfast. At lunch, I ate my ration of 2 carrots and Diet Coke. And I told my parents that I was studying for a test, so wanted my dinner in my room. As soon as they had left, I'd flushed down the toilet. Although for the first few days I did go hungry, I loved the feeling of control this gave me, and the hunger pangs got less and less. I didn't want to tell my friends, but I did tell Sophie. She told me I had so much willpower to not eat anything at all, and that she wished she could be as strong. We decided to encourage each other in our quest for perfection. Although I loved being in control of my diet and my life, after a few days my friends had finally noticed that I wasn't eating, and whenever they asked, I would snap and say that I wasn't feeling well. I hated them for trying to sabotage my diet. At case they copied me right in the blog that I was inspired by her, I was doing it in The Girl Who Had. The weekend, I walked across my city to avoid any temptation of food, but I had to sit down a lot because I kept feeling dizzy. Then, I started fainting. The first time it was when I got up too fast from my bed. I woke up, shaking on the floor, and vowed to get up more slowly next time. Then it happened at school, in front of my whole class. I was finding it easy to eat nothing now, as I had very little appetite anyway. I was feeling very sick and lethargic most of the time. But Sophie told me she was feeling it too, and it would probably get better. We would message each other into the night with aspiration counts and pictures. I stopped really talking to anyone else. I passed out in school again. But this time, they couldn't get me to wake up. I finally woke up in hospital on an IV drip, extremely confused and feeling worse than I'd never done in my life. My parents were there, and they told me that my brain had shut my body down because it just didn't have enough fuel, but that I was going to be alright. I felt too weak to cry. It took me a few weeks to fully recover, and luckily, because I hadn't been starving myself for very long, I hadn't done any lasting damage. I somehow found Sophie's parents, and it turns out that she has a very serious eating disorder that she has been going on for years. I'm now a counselor, but I consider myself lucky that I didn't get too far. I've learned that despite what magazines or blogs might tell you, being thinner will not make you happy or sort out your problems. It will make you feel isolated and alone. Talking about how you're feeling with those who love you will help solve your problems. If you have any crazy dieting stories, please share them in the comments below, and if you like the story, hit the like button and subscribe so you can see our future stories. Hi guys, my name is Sara, I'm 13. I want to tell you about my dad, about his popularity and what is hidden behind it. My dad is quite young, he's 33. That is, I was born when he was only 20, so we always had a lot of common interests. I thought that we got along with each other very well and we had a mutual understanding. Dad wasn't just an excellent father and best friend to me, he even managed to compensate for the absence of my mother who left us shortly after I was born. Okay, I will tell you everything in detail. Dad used to work as an engineer in a construction company, but about 2 years ago he suddenly quit his job, sold his car, and left for India. As he said, he went there to recharge his batteries, leaving me with my paralyzed grandmother for an indefinite period. 3 months later, he turned a completely different person. He came back really cool looking. I had a feeling that my real father stayed there in India and instead some other guy who was eternally happy, having his head in the clouds and denying the existence of reality turned home. As soon as I began to get used to my father's new image, he did another shocking thing. He took out a loan to buy a luxurious villa. It was great in every aspect, except its extremely high price and inconvenient location, which it was considered unreasonable. I had no idea how Dad was going to buy back this loan, but he himself didn't really worry about this. All the money from the sale of our old apartment was used to pay off the first installments, and it was not clear what we would do next. There was a lot of concerns about the issue of money in our family. We were running out of savings and Dad didn't rush to get a new job. Instead, he created his YouTube channel, started filming pranks. His new hobby turned out to be very successful, and the number of subscribers on his channel began to grow quite quickly, but unfortunately, this didn't bring the desired income. We had barely enough money to pay utility bills, which were huge in our new house, and to buy groceries. But after a while, the number of subscribers on Dad's channel exceeded 1 million. Our financial conditions began to stabilize, and people began to recognize Dad on the street of the city, in the shops, cafes, banks, and at my school. So, with the fame of my father, my popularity at school began to grow as well. Being my friend became fashionable and cool. So, everyone tried to be around me. I was invited to all parties, people took selfies with me, even teachers began to be more tolerant towards me. Dad was becoming more and more fond of creating content for his channel. It seemed like his life turned into one continuous prank. He could throw insects into my meal knowing that I was very afraid of them. And after such pranks, I totally lost my appetite. Once the scenario of his pranks was especially sophisticated. He said that I won the poetry contest and I was invited to the award ceremony in the neighboring city. When I packed my suitcases and told everyone at school that I would be absent for several days, my father said that this was a prank. I was hoping for 2 days. In fact, I was even ashamed to go to school. I did not trust my dad anymore. I began to adopt his words. It seemed to me that there was something hidden behind his actions, and I was about to become a victim of another prank and an object for derision for millions of viewers. But my feelings didn't bother my dad. He continued to shoot new pranks. Also, I began to notice that we were short of money again. That confused that the function of monetization on YouTube wasn't available to him anymore. Due to the large number of complaints about content on social networks, the subscribers of that channel began to send angry messages to me. They believed that my dad was very wealthy and I had everything I wanted. When I tried to explain to someone that what they see on the screen is just a beautiful packaging of her life and they can't even imagine what I have to face every day, no one believed me. When someone at school asked me about my dad again, this began to drive me crazy. I couldn't and didn't want to hear about him, even at school. I was fed up with the nightmare into which he turned my life. One day I returned home from school and Dad said that my grandmother had a heart attack. She was taken to the hospital. I started to get ready to visit her, but my father decided to take a moment and then invited the journalists to her house. Because they had long wanted to make a report about him as one of the most successful prankers, he told me that I also had to stay to give an interview. It became clear to me that he wasn't the same person that I knew. There was no humanity left in him, and that all he cared about was his channel. When the report about our family was published, I received an email from an unknown woman. She wrote that she was my mother and wanted to meet me and talk to me. After much deliberation, I agreed. I wanted to see her, get acquainted with her, and asked why she left us. On the day we meet, I saw a beautiful woman in front of me. It turned out that I looked just like her. Mom cried a lot and told me the truth about my father. I learned that after my birth, my mother suffered from postpartum depression. And instead of supporting her, Dad sent her to a hospital for compulsory treatment, lying and saying she was dangerous to others. Soon, the doctor realized that my mother was there by mistake, and she was discharged, but she couldn't find us, since while she was absent, my father and I, together with my grandfather, moved thousands of miles away. He changed our family name and cut all ties. She also said that during this time she didn't get remarried as she was trying to find me. I told her about our real life, and she decided to go to court. Of course, the audience supported my father, and he was acquitted. But the guardianship over me was transferred to my mother. I moved to live with her in the city where I was born. In fact, my father did not try to contact us. Now I live a more modest life and do not enjoy popularity, but I can say that my life has become much better. Do you know any cases when popularity has changed people for the worse? Share your stories in the comments. Thanks for listening and bye bye.